Hunter. This is the Family Showdown!
Howdy folks, today we're looking at our top 10 card games. And by card games I mean cards need to be the major component in the game. It's not just a little side piece of the game. It needs to be what the game is about, is those cards.
Yes. Now, my list, I made it, they feel more like a card game than a board game. Because there's a lot of card games that I really love, but they feel more like a board game to me, if that makes sense. So you'll probably see a very different list than my usual.
Yeah, mine's going to be probably the opposite extreme because I'm not a super big fan of straight-up card games, so most of mine are... cards are the major component of the game, but they are mostly board games-ish, you know, what we consider board games.
Gotcha.
All right, so you want to start us off? Wait, let's do some honorable mentions. What do you say?
Oh, sure.
All right, I
Go
got
ahead.
some. You want me to go ahead?
Yeah, you go first.
All right, so one of my honorable mentions is Seven Wonders Duel. It's a great two-player version of the Seven Wonders game. It would be higher up on my list. Seven Wonders is a great game, but it's really not my thing. I love the game, but it's not good enough to make my top 10.
That's a good one, and actually it's on my honorable mention too, because to me, playing those feels more like a board game than a card game. Even though cards are the main components because of what we do with them, it just feels like a board game to me. So that one is definitely one of my honorable mentions.
Well, then my next honorable mention is probably not on your list either. It's Libertalia.
Nope, that is not on my list either.
It's a pirate-themed card game where you select roles and they trigger powers, and you in a goal to gather the most loot.
Yes, that one is a good one. I've got a couple others. Let's see here. Among the Stars is a big one for me. I love that game. But to me, again, for whatever reason, that feels more like a board game or a tile kind of game. It doesn't feel like cards to me, so I don't really consider that a card game.
Yep, that's a good one. A real good one. But my last honorable mention is Paperback. It's if you took Scrabble and a deck building game and smashed them into one game, that's what you would get. It's basically a letter based word building, deck building game. So that's a really, really good one, just not enough to make it my top 10.
See, that's funny I don't know how that didn't make it on my thing either. Did I miss it? I might have missed that one. I love Paperback. So there's my shout out for Paperback.
All right, so let's start it off, I guess.
Number 10.
All right.
My number 10 is Lost Cities. And that is the bane of Hunter's existence because I believe I'm not quite undefeated in that game, but my win rate record versus him is a lot higher.
Yeah, if it was a clash, you would definitely be getting an A in that game.
Yes. But I really love that game, and you've got areas where you're laying down your cards and you're trying to do like a set collection sort of, but you have to do it in numerical order. But you're not obviously getting the cards in order, and you have to balance out when you discard and this and that, and people can steal cards from you if you lay them down, and it's a really fun game. So yeah, I recommend that one.
I think the reason I'm not very good at that game is that you have all those things going on, but inherently it's a press your luck game, right? You're supposed to. You have to put the cards in sequence, but you want to keep waiting. Like, if I want to try to get one more card or whatever, and I wait too long, and I wait, and pretty soon I look up and the game's almost over, and I'm scrambling trying to finish up, and invariably I lose.
Yeah, press your luck is not one of your stronger win games.
I always think, just wait a little bit longer. All right, so my number 10 is Biblios. It's a kind of a card drafting game, but it's two pieces. The first half of the game, you're drafting cards, but you're also building an auction pile to the side. And after the first half of the game, then you take those cards and you auction them off, and so you have to build up currency as you're going to be able to bid on those cards later in the game. So it's kind of it's almost like Act 1 and Act 2. It's almost two different games.
Yeah, it's really neat. It definitely has two different parts to it, and I love playing Biblios too. And it's pretty portable, and it's cute. The box looks like a book.
Yep.
So
yeah, it's kind of our go-to stick it in a bag game when we're at a con waiting in a line or whatever. We whip it out, and that's what we play. Yep.
Very good one.
Number 10, Biblios.
My number 9 is a whole mess of games, actually. The Timeline/Cardline collection games. And they come in great little tins. And the Timeline games are different, say, scientific discoveries or historical events or different things like that. And they all have a date on them. And you lay out your cards that you get dealt a handful of them. And you're taking turns trying to set up this timeline in the middle of the board. And you're guessing whether or not you're accurate. And so you put it before or after certain dates and things. And it's a really fun game, very light game. And it's great because you always learn something when you're playing it, which is really fun. And the kids like to play it, adults like to play it. Everybody seems to enjoy playing this game when we throw it out there. So
yeah, I really like that one. It didn't make my list, but I almost seem like we haven't played it as much, but I like the card lines because you do stuff like animal weights and sizes and things like that.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, card line has the dinosaurs and animals, and it is neat because they do the weight and the length, I think it is.
Yeah.
Length or height.
Yeah.
And then then the dates that they lived, I think for the dinosaurs.
Right.
And they're really fun. And then the timeline set they do, like they have an Americana, so they have American history, and then they have a scientific discovery one. And they have like 6 or so different types, I think.
Yeah.
So definitely worth checking out. Check out the Timeline/Cardline.
Yep, that's a good one. So what are we doing? What number am I?
Number 9.
Number 9 was already mentioned as an honorable mention.
Already.
Among the Stars. So it's a great card drafting game, but in addition to drafting the cards, you're playing them down in front of you, and you're creating like a space station or something? I don't know what it is, but yeah, and the orientation of the cards, how their proximity to each other can trigger special powers and give you victory points and things like that. And then if you want to take it up a next level, they have races with special powers that give you a unique special power, which is really cool.
I love that game. I could play that game all day. But to me, it feels, I don't know why it feels board game-ish. I guess because it reminds me of like Castles of Mad King Ludwig and stuff, where you're laying them out and you've got, the proximity to each other and the bonuses that play off of that. So it doesn't feel as card game-ish to me, which I don't, I guess it's kind of doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But that's how it is. So, but I absolutely love that game. That's a good one.
All right.
My number 8 is also one of Katie's favorite games, and that is Smash Up. And that game is just so much fun because you can have sci-fi and fantasy and, you have nerdy characters and kittens and unicorns and fairies and leprechauns and robots, and that you can mix and match your teams and go and attack different bases with cards. And it's just, I don't know, I love the theme. I think it's a great, funny theme. It's really fun to play, and it feels like a card game to me. So
yeah, that's a fun one. I like that you pick 2 completely different things and you mesh them together, and then their special powers trigger off each other in weird ways depending on which 2 whatever sets of cards you pick. So that's a fun one.
Yeah, and I think the newest set has like cowboys and sharks or something in it, or what is it?
Yeah, it's Your Fault set. We haven't got that one yet. I think it's got cowboys and sharks and some other things.
But they're just great random groups of characters that you can throw together. It's really fun.
Yep, that's a good one. So I'm doing number 8.
Number 8.
My number 8 is all the rage because it's out of print. And people are scrambling to get it. It's Thunderstone Advance. It's a great deck builder game. It's basically you take Dominion, but then throw like a fantasy theme on top of it, where you're recruiting heroes and equipping them with weapons and spells and things. And you go to a dungeon, I guess it is, and you fight the monsters. And when you kill the monsters, that's how you get your victory points. So it's a Dominion Plus, and they have several sets that are thematic that go along with that. We only have the base set, but there's other sets. There's like an undead set and some other things that you can get. But it's if you love Dominion, Thunderstone Advance is like a layer of fantasy on top of Dominion, so it gives it a theme.
Wow, I didn't realize that's out of print now.
It's out of print, and everybody's really scrambling to get it. They're begging it to go back into print, but I think it will eventually because it's a really solid game. But Thunderstone Advance.
Yeah, I didn't really think about that one because we haven't played it in a while, but it is. It's a really solid game, and it's pretty fun. So I like that. Check it out. Number 7. This one is probably one of those card games that has the least number of components in it, and yet it seems, I don't know, I really want to play this again soon because it just really, the replayability on it is so high. And that's Tides of Time. It's a pretty new game that came out recently, but you only have, what, 18?
Yeah, I think it's 18
cards.
Yeah.
It's not very many cards, so obviously it's highly portable. But it's different realms, and they've got different abilities, and they have different bonuses based off of what other cards you have with them. And the variety of play in that is unbelievable. I really like playing that game, and it's very thinky, surprisingly thinky for 18 cards.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's one of those games. A lot of drafting games, you can just draft whatever you think's best for you. But this game, you really have to pay attention to what your opponent's doing.
Yeah.
You have to look and go, oh wow, this is going to give him a ton of points, but I need to take this card, even though it's not going to help me very much. It's a really, like you said, a really thanky game for so few cards, and it plays really quickly. And they just came out with the Cthulhu-themed version of it that just came out. It's called Tides of Madness or something. I don't know.
Tides of Cthulhu.
I don't know what it is. It's a Cthulhu-themed game, and it's just basically the same game. It just kind of tricks it up a little bit. It adds like a madness factor in it. So if you taking madness gives you benefits, but if you take too much, you immediately lose the game. So so it's a balance of, and you actually can force your opponent to lose the game if you force him to take a card that gives him too much madness. So it's kind of a twist on Tides of Time.
I might actually be interested in that. I'm not usually like Cthulhu, whatever.
Yeah, I'd like to try it out.
That sounds really cool, and the artwork, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful game.
Yeah.
So check out Tides of Time. Number 7.
So now you're just going to say them?
I'm just going to tell you now. I'm just going to announce them.
My number 7 is Elysium. Ooh. A great card drafting game where it's one of those games where when you draft the cards, they give you powers, but in order to score points, you have to take those powers away and put them in the scoring area. So you have to kind of judge, how long do I want to keep that card out to give me benefits, and when do I want to take that card and put it down where it's going to score. So it's a really great, and it has a cool mechanism with the four colored pillars, and you use those to draft cards. And if you don't have a particular color, you can't draft that card. So you kind of got to balance which pillars you take away. It's just a really lot of cool things going for it.
That game is one of my favorites, and actually this one had a horrible gray area because it kind of feels board game-ish to me, and I love this game, so I ended up not putting it on my list, and I was like, oh, but it's cards. I mean, that one is a card game, really, but it feels like a board game to me because you have it laid out in a certain way, and it's got beautiful Greek, artwork and columns and stuff to set up each section, and you've got a boundary between your cards that you just purchased and the ones that you're putting down in Hades or Elysium, however you want to, your used pile. And it's just, I don't know, it's a beautiful game.
Yeah, that's a good one. We haven't played it in a while. We need to pull that one out and play it.
Yeah, and the theme, of course, I like, but there's so many different options. And with the, you can pick different... What was it? There's different, for like the advanced play, you can pick like different...
No,
it's like...
When there's like, I think there's, I want to say 8 different deities, and you take their cards.
Oh, that's true. You only take a certain
number.
You take
three out of the 8, so you can mix and match them.
That's what it is.
Depending on what kind of game you want, you can have an aggressive game. You can have a game where you build up a lot of victory points, or you have a game where there's a lot of interaction between each player. You have where there's no interaction between the players.
That's right, because it's based off of the deities, because each one has kind of a niche. So some of them are more aggressive, and some are good for the set collection in particular, and they get lots of bonuses and different things. So it's really unique, and you can play completely different games with it.
Yep.
So, very good one. That is an excellent one. My number 6 has been mentioned already. And that is Biblios. Yeah. And I love that little card game. And it's a 2-parter because, like he said, you've got you're collecting at one point and then they're doing the auction thing. And it's a really fun game. And we like to kind of kick it up a notch because you just have these dice that just sit there. They don't really needed to use dice, but they use dice for how many points each color gets at the end of the game. And so to mix it up a little bit, we roll the dice at the beginning instead of putting them in the set number, just to mix it up. Because sometimes it's more exciting if you say, ooh, that color is only worth 2 points.
Right.
I don't think I'm going to go for it.
It starts with, I think they all start with 3s, and we just kind of roll and see what happens.
Yeah.
That way it adds some strategy, because we might have one that's worth 6 and one that's worth 1 or whatever, and it really drives the game a little bit. So
yeah, we play that game pretty aggressively, actually, now that I think about it, doing that. So if you want to kick it up a notch, try rolling the dice. So that one is Biblios, obviously popular on both counts. So
6.
yes.
My number 6 is Artefacts Inc. A great, I guess that one is a dice placement game. So you roll dice and you place the dice on certain spots to get resources, and you acquire cards, and you build a tableau in front of you as time goes on. You have more places to put your dice, and it's just a real interesting game. It's really lightweight, easy to learn, but teaches a lot of different things. It's got the dice placement. It's got area control in the museums. You're putting artifacts in the museum, and there's area control there. There's some set collection, because some cards give you bonuses for having certain types of cards and things like that. So it's really an easy game to learn, but it teaches you a lot about modern board games, I think.
Yeah, oh yeah. And that's another one that landed in the Elysium gray area for me, because it feels very board game-ish, because you have to have a area set up in the middle that you're drafting from and stuff. But I love that game. I could play that game all the time too. That's another one. Highly portable too. You need a little bit of table space to play it, but to carry it off, the box isn't very big. So
and it's really affordable. I think it's like $15.
Yeah. So really fun. Lots of replayability in that one. So thinking of replayability, my number 5 is another highly portable, easy to get game, and that's Jaipur. And that one, I don't know why, I just love that card game, because you're going through and you're trying to collect sets of different things and sell them off and get the bonus chips, and you're kind of racing each other to get those bonus chips, because they decrease in value as you progress through the chips before they run out. And it's just really fun. And you got the little camels, so you're racing to get all the freebies so you can trade them out and keep all your good cards, and it's a really fun game.
Yeah, that's one of our go-to 2-player games. It's really light, easy to learn. It's pretty quick to play, and the strategy in it isn't that heavy. I mean, there's some strategy to it. Basically, you're doing set collection, and then you go out and you turn in your sets to get victory points, basically. Yeah. And you want to go in earlier, because the earlier victory points for each color is worth more. So you kind of got to play chicken with your opponent on is she about to turn in a set? Is she going to wait longer or what? It's another easy game that's got some meat to it. Yeah,
and it is 2-player only, I believe, but it's totally worth it, and it's easy to teach other people to play that one. So it wins on all accounts in my book.
All right. So my number 5.
Why, yes.
My number 5 is Coup.
Oh.
So Coup is a social deduction game. Basically, everyone's given 2 cards, and these cards have certain roles on them. And when it comes to your turn, you can take an action based on any of the roles available. The whole thing is, you can say you have any card you want, and you can risk it to take any action you want. But the opponent can call you on it, and if they do, you have to show that you have that card. So it's kind of a bluffing deduction kind of game. So I really enjoyed it. It's quick, it's fast. Just a great little social deduction game.
Yeah, that one's really fun. How many times everybody's been the Duke at one point or another, because he's the one that steals like 3 coins or something crazy.
Yeah.
But that's probably the most bluffed character in the game.
Yeah, it's a fun one. I like it.
That's a good one. My number 4 is probably one of Hunter's favorite games, and that is Pit. And this is probably the oldest game in our collection.
Unless you count chess.
Yeah. Yeah, but we have Mario chess. I don't know how.
That's true.
But Pit, gosh, what was it, 1903, I think it was, is when that game originally came out. And you are trading at the speed of sound. You're shouting how many numbers of a good you have out there and hoping that someone else has 2 of some other good that you're trying to collect. And so everybody at the same time is shouting numbers and shoving cards in each other's face and trying to race to collect a 9 of a kind. I think it's 9 of a kind. And then when you're done, whoever's the first one done rings the bell. And they're the one that gets the points from it. So there's quite a mad dash for it. It gets pretty crazy and very fun. I recommend Pit any day.
Yeah, there may be more later, so I'll hold off my discussion.
Yes.
So number
4.
Number 4. My number 4, I guess I'm a little cheating on this one a little bit. My number 4 is poker.
Well, why is that cheating? That is like a card game. It's like the card game, right?
So I love me some poker. So I think poker it's got so much going for it. One, it's got some strategy and some knowledge, and the people that are better at it, have more experience, tend to be better. But it gives that social aspect of sitting around a table, chatting about your day or talking about whatever, because you can there's not a lot of stuff going on, right? You're looking at your cards, you make a decision, and it goes around, and people bet and things like that. And it's really easygoing and casual, and people can talk and socialize, and it's just a great bring people together to talk thing. On another level, it can be very strategic, very cutthroat, very aggressive, and it gives that entire range of, the family sitting around the table playing, penny poker or matchstick poker or whatever you want to call it, all the way up to, playing in tournaments and, for real money and that kind of thing. So it's got that entire spectrum going for it. And I love it. It's just a really intense game for me. I really, especially when I'm in tournaments and things like that, it's like riding a roller coaster, right? You're excited, you're sad, you're happy. It's just a experience for me. So my number 4, poker.
That's a good one. I like that. See, that now I'm thinking, oh gosh, some of those card games that a lot of gamers are like, like skip bone stuff. But our family really played a lot of those. So I mean, don't completely turn your nose up playing family games like Uno and those, because a lot of times those get to be a riot too. Well, not on the same level as poker, but there's a lot of play to be had in those.
Well, I mean, even if the game isn't super amazing, it's bringing a family together to do things together. Fun. Yeah. So. Yeah.
So I guess I'd have to put all those in my honorable mention. I didn't even think about some of those. All right, my number 3. We kind of use this as a comparison for a lot of other games a lot of times, and that's Dominion. Because that was one of those game changers for the board game industry, and it's Dominion, because so many games use the mechanisms that Dominion just cranked out there. And now it's a part of a lot of different games. But this is cards upon cards, and I really enjoy it, because I played some CCGs back in the day, and I really like those, and this has that feel to it for me. You're building up your deck and you're getting to play and stuff, and some of the different versions of Dominion are more aggressive than others, so if you want to be attacky, there's a game for that, and it's pretty fun. A lot of variety, a lot of replayability. Even if you just get the basic box, every time you play is going to be different based off of the card base that you choose to have. And so if you're wanting bang for your buck, that's probably one of the big ones.
Yeah. That's a good one. It's basically a classic at this point.
Yeah, it really is. And now, of course, there's the argument, well, it's themeless and that stuff. But to me, it's a card game, so I don't care about the theme as much in that, because it's a card game. And how many card games really? I mean, just when you think of a card game, you don't necessarily think of a theme. Now, board games, yes. So if you're looking at it from a board game angle, then you might be like, it's kind of themeless. But for a card game, it's great. And it has some kind of theme to it, loosely.
Medieval-ish.
Medieval-ish, yeah. So there's a little flavor there, too. So it's like a card game with flavor.
Yep. So, Dominion. It's a good one. Not on my list, though. Spoiler. What's the number we at? 3? 3.
Yes.
We're at 3?
We're at 3.
My number 3, we just played this yesterday with the whole family, and that was Sheriff of Nottingham.
I should have known that was on there.
I love Sheriff, because this is true bluffing. This is a true bluffing game.
Yes.
I mean, you put something in a bag, you hand it to someone, and you say, I've got this, and they got to either believe you or not believe you. So you got to have poker face, or maybe you want a reverse poker face, right? You want them to make you think that you put something bad in there, so they get them to open it. So I just love Sheriff of Nottingham. It has open deal making. You can give people money to do something or not do something, or it's just a great. I don't know. I enjoy it as like a laugh out loud kind of game when they pop that open and you don't have any bad stuff, or you pop it open and it's full of contraband, and the other person's like, "Oh, why'd you open it?"
Busted.
So it's a great social bluffing game. Is that a theme?
Social bluffing?
It's a social bluffing game.
Well, if you're bluffing, it's kind of a social game anyway, right?
I guess so. Yeah. So Sheriff of Nottingham, a great bluffing game.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, because we've got great that's game group stories and family stories both from those games. I mean, Caitlin actually bluffed for the first time ever in that game.
And got away with it. She was so proud of herself.
Yes, she was. She was very proud of herself.
And I won this game at a play-to-win at a convention. So.
Yeah, that was pretty fun, too.
So, number 3, Sheriff of Nottingham.
Yep, a good one. My number 2 is probably the closest to feeling like a board game that still I consider a card game, and that is Race for the Galaxy. I love Race for the Galaxy. And I don't get to play this one as much because Roll for the Galaxy is really good, and most people prefer to play that one over Race for the Galaxy because of the dice. And the dice are really awesome. Don't get me wrong, I love Roll for the Galaxy too. And there are a ton of icons that you have to understand and know to get Race to the Galaxy on the table. So if you don't play it very often, you're constantly looking up, okay, what's this picture do again? What's this symbol for? What is this? So there's a little bit of that, but boy, I don't know what it is about that game. I love playing that game, the space theme and everything, and you're using the, again, it's very similar to Roll for the Galaxy. It's just, it's card based.
Right.
So you're going for different, different types of goods and trading those in for the money and victory points, whatever you want to call it, and just, I don't know, there's something about that game that's really fun, the back and forth and between who's getting what actions, and because it changes every turn, just like Roll for the Galaxy. So,
right. That's a good one. I mean, I like the dice better, but they're both really, really good games. I like the combos, building combos with your cards, and like if you do this, you get to do this, and you get to do this, and it's a really good game. It's truly a race game, right? You're trying to build your first one to build a certain number of colonies, and It's a good one. I like it. Didn't make my list, but spoiler. But I really like.
Full of spoilers.
I like that one.
All right, number 2.
My number 2. One moment.
Oh, jeez.
Pit. Greatness in a little tiny box. This game is so much fun. People yelling and screaming and pushing and tackling and throwing the table over. No, not that bad, but
close.
It is a really, really, really fun game. It stood the test of time. It's a great trading game. We have to get a live play of this stuff.
Yeah. It's gonna be dangerous,
but it's a great game. It's just you just scream and yell and trade, and it's a fast and furious race to see who gets all their cards to be the same, and then you ring the bell and you get points, like she said, and it's just an awesome, awesome, awesome game. I don't know why it isn't. I don't know why it almost has that. Mainstream stigma about it. It's not. It's just like,
or because it's so old.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's just a really great. It's super simple to teach, super simple to play. It's just fun. It's just so much
really
fun.
Fun game. Yeah.
So that's why it's my number 2.
That's a good one. Oh my gosh, the audience is now deaf. You're funny. All right, and my number 1 card game will probably come as no surprise to anyone. Star Realms. I love that game, and it's little portable card game. I think I have almost every expansion, and it still fits in a nice little one of those little card boxes you can get at the game store. I put them all together. I lumped all mine together. I just throw it in a bag. Heck, I think that fits in my purse, and you can throw it down. You don't even take that much table space really to play that one unless you really sprawl out your cards, but you go and you have a nice little tableau in front of you of 5 different options of purchases, and you're buying stuff and building up your deck and trying to attack the other person and whittle them down before they get you. And you can have bases and things that try to protect you, and it's just a really fun, really easy to teach people. It's really easy to learn. It's a pretty fast game, so you can play it multiple times usually too. So.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's just a straightforward, simplistic deck building game. Super, like you said, super easy to learn. It's fast. You can knock out 3 or 4 or 5 games in an hour probably, and it's the type of game you play over and over and over again. It's just a good one. They just came out with a Heroes Realm. That one interests me, but she kind of poo-pooed it. She's like, sci-fi, fantasy. But it's a good one. I'm kind of surprised it made the top of your list because. I know you really, really love that game. I figured you'd have like a heavier game. It's interesting. A really lightweight game made the top of your list.
Yeah. Yeah, but when I think card games, I typically don't think of heavier games, though. I know Race for the Galaxy is kind of an oddity in that, but normally, if I'm thinking card games, I'm thinking of throwing down and playing cards and being able to, like Star Realms for me, that's kind of like you said with poker. I can play that with, my friends and sit and chat while I'm playing that one. It's a casual enough game that it doesn't take much concentration to say, okay, I'm firing 4 at you, and then we sit and do that real quick, and we're like, okay, next turn. And it just doesn't lend itself to a lot of negotiation or thinking. It's really a build up your deck, throw down your cards, and go. And I think that's why I like it. And of course, the space theme, that's a given. But it's just something about that. Card games to me are usually more casual.
Yeah, well, I can definitely see that. But in contrast to that, at the far other extreme of the spectrum is my number 1, which is... You're going to take a guess?
Oh, do I drum roll?
No, do you want to take a guess?
Oh, take a guess. I should know this. I probably should know this. Oh, wait. Blood Rage?
Nope.
No.
Not card gamey enough.
No, not card gamey enough.
I thought about it.
Ooh. Who? Oh, I don't know. I'll take.
And my number 1 is Through the Ages, a new story of civilization.
Duh.
Yes, an awesome Civ game that you draft cards and you build up your civilization from nothing to immensity. And it's just it's a really, really super heavy game, super hard game to teach. But I love Through the Ages. It's a great game.
Yeah, so to me that would be a board game because it is so thinky and so it is pretty complicated, and it's not one of those you're going to say, hey, would you like to learn that because you set aside an hour.
Yeah.
But at least to teach it. But it is an amazing game. I mean, you have to think of balancing out so many different variables. At the heart of it, at the bottom of your little board, you've got your population, and you have to balance that out with its happiness versus how many people you have and what you're doing and all your resources, and you have to keep that balanced as you're trying to build up. And it's so much to think about, and it was so well organized. It's just a beautiful game, really fun. So,
is it my number 1 or is it your number?
Hey, my number 1, but not on this particular list. We'll just put it that way.
Through the Ages, a new story of civilization, a great card drafting game. I mean, at the heart of the game, you're drafting cards and putting cards down. So it is. I consider it a card game, but it is a heavy.
Yes.
Heavy card game.
Very heavy card.
Well, there you have it. There is some awesome card games. We got more true card games, and then on my side, probably more thematic, heavier card games.
Board game-ish
for the most part.
Yeah.
So tell us what your favorite card games are. Leave it down in the comments. And if you like our videos, please subscribe to our channel. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.